welcome traders. Just messing around. Okay, it is it's Sunday the 15th of January. I'm recording this for the week commencing Monday the 16th of January 2023. Let's go through and have a look at the major stuff coming out this week. So the main reason we look at the economic calendar is because it can really just mess with our trading. We can get massive spikes if we don't have stop losses. We can wipe an account, all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. So this week, predominantly, first thing you need to know is Monday is a holiday for the US, which means volumes are going to be low. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So trading volumes will be low. It could be very sluggish, might not do anything. So just be aware of that in case you feel the markets are acting funny. Also, what we have on Wednesday and Thursday, we do have some high impact news coming up, but mainly Wednesday is going to be a really, really busy day. We've got Bank of Japan coming out, so they need to decide what they're going to do with the yen, if they're happy, if they're going to leave it as is. We've got out of the UK, we've got CPI. We also have CPI data coming out of Europe as well. And then in the US later on at 1:30 p.m. that day, we've got core PPI, PPI data as well, retail sales, and of course retail sales data. So everything is focused on how bad is this recession going to be. All of the evidence points to the US actually being very well managed at the moment, and that it's very likely to have a soft recession, but that isn't necessarily going to be the case around the world. So the UK is looking okay, but we'll see what happens with Europe. And interesting enough, it also looks like it's going to be zone based, meaning that even within the US, certain states, potentially Republican states, will be struggling more so than Democratic states because they have different kind of philosophies with regards to finances. Within Europe as well, potentially some areas will have harder recessions than others. Really does depend. This is something that hasn't happened before. It's relatively new. Some areas look like if they've managed their stuff relatively well over the last few years, they're going to be okay. So it's really interesting to see how it's going to unfold. And obviously, if there's more stuff I can tell you about that, I will as it comes up. So that being said, let's go across to the charts and have a look at what's going on there. Okay, so what we're seeing here predominantly is a much weaker US dollar. Okay, so this is the dollar index's performance. You can see it's been trending down low. What I would highlight here, ladies and gentlemen, is there is this bullish momentum. What does that imply? It means that at some point this trend is running out of steam. I'm expecting it to have a strong reaction to the upside. What makes the most sense is if you look at it from a monthly basis, it looks as though it really needs to work its way down and test this level for support. So we might find that it works its way back to 100 and then has a very strong bullish reaction against it. Right now, for the most part, the trends do appear to be intact. But look here, we've got lower lows on price here, higher lows on both the MACD. The RSI is pretty flat. Over here, we've got that sort of creeping higher. So there's definite evidence of this wanting to find support and turn around. So if we have a look, say, at euro dollar, my expectation is for this to head up to 1.09. It's pretty much free and clear until it gets there. That all looks good. Monthly looks nice and bullish. All of that looks the case. Sterling as well. Very, very nice potential setup here to continue to the upside. So for the most part, I'm expecting this week most of these, the Aussie dollar, the pound, the Kiwi dollar, most of them to actually strengthen against that US dollar. Some of them are near those resistance levels, and we'll see how that goes. But the rest of them are looking fine. Dollar yen as well looks like that wants to continue down. That trend is looking relatively healthy. I think it's got some good room to head down towards 126. What I do want to talk about quickly, and I think it's important, is that either this coming week or next week, these markets are going to be very much overdue for a retracement, a daily retracement. So I'm going to be looking, for example, for price to pull back into these levels, and to find ideally what should happen is to provide some continuation trading opportunities as those trends resume and do another leg. That is pretty much plan A, and I'm waiting for that across the board. I just wanted to highlight you again, EURUSD, really nice to see that breakthrough parity, but already now starting to look as though it needs to come back a little bit. I thought this was looking funny, so that's the daily and the weekly. There we go. So looking to see how that reacts against it, and we want to see if it comes back below parity, but it was really keen to break up. So I'm glad we've now touched parity. Now we need to see what it wants to do next. If we have a look at commodities, gold, beautifully bullish, really very, very nice, starting to work its way through that level, which means $2,000 an ounce is now in its sights, very much in its sights. However, it is very much overdue. I need to see gold pull back. If it can come back to 1850, I'm very happy for now. And then I'd be looking for trend continuations to the upside. It looks good. Silver looks good as well, but they are overextended. Silver, I also want to see if it can break through this resistance level. Looks like it might. And again, it's got some, it can head up towards 24.50, 24.80, and then it's going to find some resistance. But again, gold and some of those currencies are now in an area where this week could be a week where they decide to pull back and then provide some great swing trading opportunities for traders trading on the daily timeframes. If we move across and have a look at West Texas, crude oils are starting to look more and more bullish. So what are we looking at here on the weekly? We're potentially looking at a higher low, and part of the clue that is if we're going to break these previous highs, we start to break these highs on the daily, and we break through this downward trend line, meaning the momentum has started to shift from bearish to sideways to bullish, and then the likelihood of this starting to look more and more bullish is definitely on the table. If you look at these candles here on the monthly, they're starting to look more and more bullish. A big break and a close above 85. Talk about a close above $88 suddenly means that, okay, we're going to start to see that head back up towards 100. Now, the thing is, we've still got a couple of months of winter in the Northern Hemisphere, but I do like the fact that a lot of these countries are working to become independent and try to extricate themselves from their dependence on Russia. It's a very important thing that we need to be doing globally, hugely important. Obviously, we need to make other changes too, but this is something that has to happen. So I want to see where this is coming from. We know OPEC are now starting to get involved, and so there's some global geopolitics at play. The point is that it is starting to look bullish, and therefore there could be some new, fresh uptrends in crude oils, but probably not for a couple more weeks yet. Brent crude, very much the same, but definitely looking more bullish than bearish. There could be some buy opportunities this coming week. Let's have a look at some of those other commodities. Wheat, as I said, this looks like a nice little double bottom potentially forming here. And if it's a double bottom with this bullish divergence, I would expect this to head up towards 800. So that could be really nice. Coffee as well, it's got some bullish divergence, some really nice stuff. It'll definitely come up to these lows here, but also could be getting ready to change trend. We look at sugar. Sugar is still generally bullish. That weekly candle is really nice and bullish. I know it's a bit of a failed breakout, but it's come back in, looks bullish, looks like it wants to keep going. So also looking bullish at cotton. Cotton's it's a bit lost right now. Okay, it's not looking good. It's looking as though it might continue and head lower, but it's producing higher lows. It's giving mixed signals. In fact, on the daily, it looks like it wants to break higher, and on that monthly, it looks like it wants to go lower. So just keeping that in mind. Now, looking at the global indices, they look great. Beautiful price action on the weekly, and beautiful break, retest, testing those highs, bullish candles continuation. For now, they look very much intent on going back up to these old highs. As I said, at some point I'm expecting those to come back. So my plan A is looking for continued trades in the existing trending directions. However, being prepared on another level consciously that I'm expecting a pullback at some point. Okay, a retracement. Not a change of trend, just a retracement. How will I know it's happening? The 4 hour is very likely to produce bearish price action with bearish divergence at levels, and that'll be an indication that that trend is about to change and the daily is going to start its retracement. Okay, S&P looks good, nice and healthy, guys. Beautiful, really beautiful. Here's an example of a trading plan for S&P. Comes back up, possibly is overextended, finds some resistance here, could go further, but let's say it finds resistance here, pulls back, could pull back into these highs or pull back into this area, find support, and then continue up. So that's a layout of where I would map it out of where I would expect it to go. Nasdaq's looking really good, guys. Nasdaq should have room to go up to 12,000. There's not much in its way. Russell 2000 is looking incredibly bullish. I'm loving this, but look at where it is on the monthly. I want to see this a break and a close, and a really nice close would be somewhere around 1968, like where it would be somewhere in this, a close over the next week in this area solidly above these previous highs would be great. FTSE, you beautiful thing. It's got to come back, guys. Look at this weekly. At some point, it's got to come back and test this level, but that could be a month or two away. For now, I'm looking for a daily pullback into this level and a continuation. So those are trades I'm looking for and waiting for on my trading plan. DAX as well. Look at you. Beautiful stuff. Need you to come back and test this level. Looking really nice and healthy. So if you're an individual who's kind of worried in the same way that some people have been worried for the last 5 years that the market's in a bubble and they're going to crash, we've had our major correction. I'm not saying it's over yet. As I said, Ray Dalio, Michael Burry are concerned there's still a potential ripple effect. We could be going into stagflation, so that would be the result of the recession where there's some growth but not enough. So all of those are still very real possibilities. But the facts, and the facts here are based on actual evidence that you're looking at with your own eyes, is the markets are looking really strong and healthy at this time, and they're a lot of them have moved back into a bull trend. The DAX is in a bull trend now. It's in a bull. It's now in a bull trend. I'm very happy with that on the weekly. Let's have a look quickly at the S&P. S&P's not there yet. The Nasdaq is definitely not there yet. The Dow is. All right. If it breaks this high, then it's back into a bull market. So we are seeing signs of it, and it shouldn't be doing that if it's signs of weakness, unless something comes out over the next few months and there's a big shock and the markets go lower. But for now, they look hungry and they look keen to go. ASX out of Australia, phenomenal. Also, another thing that shouldn't really happen in situations like this is that the UK, for example, is going to all-time highs. The DAX is breaking up to highs. These are markets that are historically kind of super cautious, always waiting for the US to go first before they make the move. Now they're not. They're just out there. I mean, the UK technically is in uncharted territory. Bullish. That's great. Okay, let's move across. The Nikkei, even the Nikkei is at the bottom of this range. And given everything else, this has a fair shot to go back up to the top of the range. If this had to go back up to the top of this range and then break out the top of the range, you can't say that that is a sign of weakness. It means that we're going into the next, potentially into the next bull market phase. So it might not be as smooth as we've had in the past, but it means that the markets are ready to do that. We've needed a correction like this for a very long time. And I want you to keep in mind that it's possible that we could be at the beginning of the next bull market that could go for several years. Just keep in mind that it's a possibility. Not only that, but the sentiment is always at its most bearish at the beginning of those markets, and it's always at its most optimistic. So if you're thinking, well, it doesn't feel very optimistic, it never does. That's not how it works. Right? It's not like everybody goes, okay, we feel like everything's fine now, let's get going. They never do. They're always shorting at this time because they think the other shoe hasn't fallen yet and the market's recovering too quickly. Let's just see. There's a lot of people out there producing incredible data-driven videos on YouTube talking about how many markets over the years have had, how long certain bear markets have lasted, how, in terms of days or weeks or periods, percentage drops in certain markets. There's a lot of data out there that I'm not presenting in this video that supports the idea that it's very possible we are at the beginning of the next bull market. And they also have data that produces that maybe the other shoe has to drop. I'm just saying technically the charts are telling me they're leaning more towards that one. So let's go through some of these charts as well. Apple, very nice. It's got to get back over this level, right? It's got to get back up above 140, but it's looking good. If we get a strong monthly close for January, that is the foundation I need. But it is right in an area here where we could just fail to get through that. And I've been talking for a while about Apple kind of forming a bearish breakout pattern. And so this could turn out to be a bearish rejection candle here, and it could then continue down. So I'm going to mention this now. It's not safe yet. It could reject over the next 2-3 weeks and then continue down to 120. But so far, it's looking very good. Like if it was going to ultimately carry on, this is kind of what I'd like it to do. Amazon's looking good. Solid base, bullish divergence, really nice and bullish. I expect most of these to continue up. I'm just saying that now until they hit the next resistance levels. I'm also expecting pullbacks on some of these. I'll show you as we go through them. Look at this. We now have a confirmed uptrend on AT&T. Let's look at ARC, Cathie Wood stuff. We've got solid bullish divergence here. It's still quite weak, but it is starting to look better. Remember that as we get a little bit higher and higher, people who are cautious will start to get involved, and it'll pick up momentum and start to go a little bit higher. Let's look at Glencore out of the UK. Really nice break and a retest and a bullish candle. And there's a beautiful setup that I was looking at last week. Really nice, just a break and a retest and a continuation. A lot of these are very good. A bit of resistance here, but I expect it to potentially break through on that one. Let's go through Tesco's. Also looking good. Nice little weekly uptrend there. Monthly looks good. This is really good, guys. It's got to break the sort of downward bearish momentum, but it's in an uptrend. It should be able to do that. Should. Amex looking good, trying to build up to a bullish breakout over here. A bit of a mess, but you'll see once it breaks out, it'll start moving a little bit more freely. Looks okay. We've got resistance levels. Can we get over that this week? Should hopefully. Berkshire Hathaway is in a nice uptrend, guys. It's bullish. Okay, that's a bit of a bull trend for that. It's really above zero on the MACD. It's trending higher. Berkshire Hathaway is bullish. Nice and strong. Coca-Cola. All right, so Coca-Cola is struggling now. It's got strong resistance, bearish divergence. Something's not quite right there. So this one I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on for now. It just needs to get back through this level. This is a big problem. What actually I think is a fair possibility is that it builds a bullish breakout pattern here. So higher lows, bit of an ascending triangle. So let's see how that goes. BP looks good, looks set to continue, but please be prepared. It is at a major level of resistance. But if we're seeing crude oil starting to look more bullish, I can't see why this couldn't break out. Excuse me. So ExxonMobil will be the same, bullish. General Motors is not out of the clear yet. In order for General Motors to really be in the clear, it's got to break well above these. It's got to go up to about 43, 44, and then it's fine. Right now, it's in trouble. It's got to get right up above that level. It's in a bear flag. So high lows, high highs, there's a lot going on in a range. Just needs to get out of that. So that needs to work higher as well. JP Morgan, look at that. Solid coming into these lows. Really nice, strong push up. This is good. I mean, it's good. That should continue through. Should. Adidas got a way to go, but I think it's got room to come out. We had a great week this last week. Most of these did some big jumps from last week's video. And yeah, this has got room to go to 160, 162, should be good. Meta's been performing well, but it's not out of the woods yet. Okay, it's got to make it to 153 here, 153.50. I needed to test that level, but it's got bullish divergence. There's a lot of evidence here showing that this should still be able to work its way up. Continued. So what does that mean? It means this week I expect it to try and continue pushing higher. Morgan Stanley's fine. I mean, look, higher low here. It's got a bit of resistance. It's pushing. Looks good. Bullish engulfing candle looks good. Nvidia looks good. It's fine. It really looks good. There was another trade to the upside. Some resistance where it is on a monthly basis. But if it closes higher, that's also a good sign. And it is trying. It looks good. That's a good weekly candle last week. Plus we have no bullish divergence. Netflix, bullish, look good. Netflix can continue. I think Netflix can get 350 in its sights. Let's see how that goes. PayPal has got bullish divergence. It needs to break this downward trend, but there's that little gentle line over here. It's got to break it. I think it's got a shot at that this week. Spotify, fine. Spotify's good. It's pushing up. Looks pretty aggressive. It's back into this range. Should be able to do it. Again, some of these I'm expecting pullbacks, but they should continue up progressively over the whole week. There might be a few days up, then a couple of days down, and then continue on. Or maybe they push up and they close lower at the end of the week. But I need the retracement, and I'm also expecting them to continue up. This isn't offering a lot, so Spider isn't offering a lot, but it is pushing up a little bit higher into resistance. FedEx also coming back into resistance here if you look at that. So we're going to see how that goes. Also within a downtrend within the month. This is a big level. 200 is a big level. So I think a pullback into these highs here, bullish candle, continue up to 200. And then let's see if you can get through that. FedEx, that's a challenge for FedEx. We're going to have to see how that goes. Tesla is struggling a bit with 125. There's some nice bullish signs here. It should be able to do it. I feel like it should just be able to retrace to 150 at the very, very least. It's important to see how January's candle closes. If it's a strong bullish candle, that could be the bottom of Tesla. We'll see how it goes. Vanguard S&P should higher low should be looking nice and green into these areas over here. That's got some more bullish signs, the bearish signs. That's Vanguard. Should be fine. Okay, bonds. Bonds are struggling with resistance right now. Okay, they're battling. And they are trying to move higher, but they are battling with that resistance level. I don't need this anymore. And yeah, that's what they need to be doing. So this week, I'd like to see them break and close above that high if they're able to do it. Eurobund struggling a little bit where it is as well, but it's got bullish divergence. Eurobund looks good. My expectation is it's got to come up and test this 142 level to find out if it can get past it. That's a big resistance level. You can see it on the monthly right about there. It should be able to get through that. So let's see how that goes. Cryptos, right? You're doing well. Well done. I was expecting 18,000 at least. They surged right past that above 20,000. This is good. There was a lag. So if you remember, a lot of the markets over the last month or two have been starting to climb. Cryptos haven't. Now it looks as though they've finally clued in and caught up. So that makes sense to me technically. However, they're now overextended. They need to come back down, continue up. In principle, I think cryptos are going to start working their way back up from here. So just going to make a note for something here quickly. Thank you. Okay, and let's have a quick look. Ethereum looks good. Broken back up above that. Looks good, man. That's what I like to see. A bit of a break below that. probably at some point we'll come back and test this for support and continue up. That's good. It is overextended, so I need to see it come back, maybe test 14, 1.4, and then carry on up from there. We'll see. Solana, nice and bullish. This one's the weakest one because it's, well, actually, it depends how you look at it. It could be seen as a bull flag. I know it's a downward channel, but if you had a previous move prior to that, this would be a bull flag. So if we start to break it, I expect that momentum to start shifting bullish. We'll see. It is the weakest of the bunch so far. Having said that, Binance is also struggling a bit here. Okay, so looking for this to start climbing higher. For the most part, Cardano and Binance, generally not super healthy. Expect those to, but I expect broadly they do have some, aside from pullbacks, expect them to continue up. And digital world acquisition, I don't expect to do anything. That's just going to go down ultimately over time to nothing. It's worthless. There's no value there whatsoever. Okay, so ladies and gents, that's it. So optimistically, there's some good stuff. But, you know, last week we had some major spikes in the news. This week, I expect the same thing. It means trading cautiously, not exposing yourself like your account too much, always trading with a stop loss, closing out if at any point you're not feeling it, banking profits, taking profits, closing those trades out, trading sensibly and having a plan and following through on that plan. There should be some good opportunities for swing traders this week across the board. And actually that would even provide lots in equities if you're a stock trader. There's a lot going on. It's all good. So far, touch wood, this is looking relatively optimistic. Okay, so I want to wish you nothing but the best. Have a great week. Trade sensibly. Keep emotions in check. And I will see you here next week.